Hello, my fellow Cone cultists, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you a little bit of a tutorial slash guide on ways to help make a little bit more or lose a little bit less silver lions while playing expensive vehicles. Now, I meant to have this on the Lorraine 40C when I opened, but I'm garbage, so I wasn't. Now, obviously, one of the best ways to prevent yourself from losing silver lions would be don't die. But let's be honest, that is not a very reliable method of trying to save silver lions, because even the best players will die at some point. So what are other ways that you can go about to try and cut costs, so to say? Well, the first one that I would address would be don't worry about the repair costs. That's the way that I personally play. I don't worry about making money with every lineup that I play. I just try to grind SL with lineups that I consistently make money with. The 4-3 Russians being a good example here. I can regularly make pretty good money, even if I remove the premiums from this, because it's just a very user-friendly, very competitive lineup. And then after I've ground the money using this, I can just play whatever I want, and if I lose money, so be it. But for those of you who might be a little bit more anxious, I guess I could say, about losing SL at all, you want to always be making money, or at least you want to cut some of the costs, well, I've got some tips for you, and let's try to get into these. Hopefully some of them will help you. And if there's any that I missed, or things that maybe you do that you don't think anybody else considers, do leave those in the comments. You might help somebody out, and we can just kind of help benefit the community in a positive way, because nobody likes repair costs. The first one that I will address, and some of these will definitely help more than others. The first one I would say is you can actually disable modifications if you weren't aware of this, and it will actually decrease the repair cost. If you look right here, tracks, max repair cost plus 221. Now obviously, with the Lorraine, you probably want to keep all of these, definitely keep your parts in FPE, and all of your aiming, but maybe you don't find that artillery actually helps you that much, so you could go ahead and, boom, disable that. Sorry, my internet is just absolutely terrible right now, part of why I'm not making a gameplay video. But you can disable that, and then when you look, 21,215, that is a pretty big difference compared to the 21,878. Now obviously that's not going to make a death go from negative silver lions to positive, but that cuts off 600 silver lions that you're losing with that death. So it could go along with these other things to just help you lose a little bit less money in the match, maybe even make a little bit. The next tip I would give is to potentially think about using a different ammo than the top ammo that a vehicle is given. Now obviously the French aren't a good example of this, because for the most part you're using your stock shells, but if you go look at something like the Russian higher tier, that's the wrong lineup, this one, Russian 9.0 for example, you have something like the T62 M1. This tank has a couple different shell choices. You've got your starting dart, which has 450 millimeters of penetration. Oh, never mind, that's the one I have selected. You've got your starting dart with 420 millimeters of pen, and then you have another one with 450 millimeters of pen. Now obviously most people would just say, oh well, I'm going to use this one, it has better pen and it also has a little bit more projectile mass. Well, go and actually think about it for a minute. Do you actually need that 30 millimeters more penetration when you're playing 9.0? I mean, maybe you do, and I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to use this shell, but I'm saying, could you maybe cut the cost of 200 silver lions per shot by just selecting the stock ammo? It's something to consider. Back on the Lorraine, another thing that you can try to use to cut cost is these backup vehicles. Now, if you're not aware of how these work, they allow you to respawn, obviously, everybody knows that. But you can actually use these to completely eliminate or virtually eliminate the entire repair cost of a vehicle, because the way that a backup vehicle works is it basically auto repairs the vehicle, so to say. So whenever you respawn in that vehicle, it eliminates the entire repair cost. So let's say I took the Lorraine, I died, and then I respawn at the end of the match in the Lorraine using a backup, and then the game ends and I don't do anything. Yes, I wasted a backup, but I actually didn't, because I just saved myself that 22,000 Silver Lion repair cost. So if you maybe have a lot of war bonds, you could use that to buy yourself a lot of backups, and you could use it in certain matches to just completely eliminate the rep cost. Or you would get 2 spawns in the Lorraine for the price of 1. So that's another thing to take into consideration. Now this next tip is one that I don't personally use, but I know that it is somewhat common and is fairly effective, especially if you don't play for extended periods of time like I usually do. If you only play for maybe, let's say 5 to 10 matches a day, this could be good for you. If you just go and deselect automatic repair. Now, when you get out of a match, any vehicle that you have that was in your lineup that got destroyed will have a little red thing, and you'll have a timer for how long until it's free repaired. And if you hit to battle, it'll just let you click one more button, and then you can be off to your battle after paying the repair cost. But let's say you jump around a lot. Let's say maybe I played 7-7 Britain, a very, very, very bad apple in terms of repair costs. You could play one match of Britain, jump over, maybe play a match of something like China, play a match of something in France, match of Germany, and then let's say you just had enough of War Thunder for the day, you log off. Well, when you come in the next day and say, alright, I want to go and play my British tanks again, well, now some of that repair cost has actually been reduced by the free repair. So you're paying less and saving yourself a little bit of Silver Lions with just one click. Now this next tip, I would say, is probably the single most important one out of all the ones that I've said so far, and I think out of all the ones that I have said. Build a good lineup. I cannot emphasize this point enough. Whenever people ask me for tips about this game, it's always build a good lineup. It makes the difference between making money, losing money, and having good games in general. If you look right now, I set this up prior to recording to show you guys an example of a good lineup for France. Now, I'm not saying necessarily you're going to perform super well with this lineup, but in terms of repair cost and competitiveness, this is a pretty decent lineup. Now, obviously, these vehicles are still fairly expensive, but if you were to say put in something like the F8F with its insanely high repair cost, and you had all sorts of other vehicles with high rep cost in this lineup, it's gonna add up, because with one vehicle with a high repair cost, that being the Lorraine in this lineup, I can handle it. And most people can. But every single vehicle you add into a lineup that gets more and more and more expensive, it makes it so much more difficult to make money. And again, a good example of that would be Britain. It just gets very, very difficult to start to make a profit the more things in your lineup that you have that are expensive. Like if I did a Conqueror and then I followed it up with just a Conway, granted the Conway's not an amazing tank, but that repair cost being only about 5,000 compared to taking out basically 10,000 or upwards of 10,000 once this is spaded, because I'm still a ways away from it. It all adds up, so the more cost you can eliminate, the more money you will save or make at the end of the battle. And added into that, I always recommend, even if you don't particularly care for planes, always try to have at least one in your lineup. Particularly a premium plane if you can, but if you don't have any, a regular plane will do fine, because planes make a much higher SL earning multiplier compared to tanks. Like the Lorraine here gives us 225% Silver Lions, but with the F6F we get 300%. So that means for every action you're doing in the F6F, getting a kill, maybe shooting down a plane, you're earning far more Silver Lions than you would if you were using the Lorraine. Now obviously these numbers might be different for you if you don't have premium, but the concept is still the same. And added on to that, I would recommend, like I said before, if you do have the ability to include a premium, especially a premium play in your lineup, it can make a big difference. Like, for example, when I played with my Lorraine, I was able to use the Narval in my lineup, and this is a 660% Silver Lions booster. So if I could just get 1 or 2 kills with this, it completely nullified the cost that I would have to pay for the Lorraine, and I would instantly be in the green, so to say, for making SL that match. This in itself isn't going to make you money. Once again, none of these tips are going to just, boom, instantly make you money, but they're going to be able to help you start to make a little bit more, start losing a little bit less, and over time, as you get better at the game, and as you get better vehicles and more accustomed to the vehicles that you're playing, it's going to make a big difference in just that small way, because like I said before, it adds up over time. Maybe you make an extra 100 or an extra 1,000 SL per game. That adds up over each match. By the end of the day, you could make maybe 10,000 more Silver Lions than you would have without using any of these tips. And again, that adds up over the course of a week. Maybe that's 70,000 more. At the end of a month, that's, who knows, maybe 250,000 more. So don't discount this just because, oh, well, that's not gonna make that big of a difference. What's 100 Silver Lions? That's nothing. 100, no. It does add up. And the final tip that I have in regards to just stuff from the hangar, I'm gonna do one match if my internet allows it after this to try to show you some gameplay tips that you can also use. Granted, most of what I've given you, I've already given you in the hangar, so if you don't want to stick around for that, you don't have to, but I'll do my best to try to give you some tips in the game to show you. But there's one more thing I will say, and that is arcade, RB, and sim usually, not always, but usually have differing repair costs for each vehicle. For example, this is one of the most glaring, and I don't have one so I can't show you, but I have used it in the past. The E100 has about a 42,000 Silver Lion repair cost in RB, I believe. But if you look at it in sim, it's somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000, I think, and that is an enormous difference. As I'm an idiot and forgot about this, you can actually check this for yourself. So let's look, for example, arcade. Let's look at what the Lorraine costs. It only costs 7,000, so granted, a lot of people don't like arcade, but if you do really want to play your Lorraine, that might be the way that you do it. Or in sim, I think it's also, oh, never mind. It is not cheaper in sim. It was at one point, so. But yeah, take into account that the type of battle that you play can also impact your repair cost. So if you don't mind playing arcade, maybe that's something for you, or the same with sim. Maybe you could play sim instead. Also keep in mind that for sim, you're getting 2 spawns for that price. But enough talking. I hope I didn't bore you too bad. We're going to take out one game of 7-7 France. I hope I get good matchmaking, and I'm going to see if I can put some of these into practice. And I will remove the Narval from my lineup, just to be fair, because I don't want to make it seem like because I have a premium in my lineup, that's what's making me the money. I want to do this in as much of an everyday man's situation as possible. So I will see you in the battle, as long as my internet allows it. Well, it does appear that we actually got decent matchmaking for once. I am flabbergasted, as much as I'm sure you are. Gosh, I have not played the Lorraine in a little while, so let's hope that I do okay. And let's hope that my internet decides to not be complete and utter garbage like it's been all day. One tip I would give that I can't really show in this battle is try to cap, because capping makes you actually a lot more SL than a lot of people realize. The rewards aren't as great as I think they should be, but if you have the ability to, especially with something like the Lorraine, try to not rush a cap per se, but maybe try to be more aggressive on the caps than the rest of your team. Obviously, in this situation, I would not recommend it with it just being one cap, but it is something that you can consider in a normal domination style match rather than a conquest. Another type of playstyle you can try to adopt would be a more of a sniper, play a little bit more reserved. But again, it's kind of a boring playstyle. I don't personally get behind doing that, but I'm just trying to be as general as I can, because everybody has different playstyles, and I don't want to discount someone's playstyle just because it's not my particular style of playing the game. It doesn't necessarily make it the wrong style. Man, where are they? Another good thing like you're seeing here, you can farm a little bit of SL by using artillery. Now I know I did say you can disable that, and that's entirely personal preference once again. If you don't find that you end up using artillery a lot, I know I tend to forget that I even have it half the time. It might be a good idea just to disable it, to just completely remove that cost from the equation. But if you do actually remember to use it consistently and you are on top of that, it's probably a better thing to have, because you can use it to suppress your enemies and earn a little bit of SL. Come on. Are you... Bruh. 260 mils of pen and I bounce off the side of a T-29? Okay. Sure. We'll go with that. Must have been a bad angle. I think we have an STB over here as well. Oh dear. Okay, we're good. A little bit of a butt clench there. We'll hopefully eliminate this STB. Okay, orange is breach. Yep, get rid of him. Push up and let's see if we can get Mr. American. And then try to disengage from their spawn, because as much as I am the CEO of spawn camping, I don't necessarily encourage spawn camping in a Lorraine, because that is a very expensive style of play. And we need to reload anyways, so let's try to get out of here before it's too late. Although, with War Thunder's map design, it is likely already too late. Oh, well, I'm boned. I completely fluffed that shot. Thought for sure that would have hit where I wanted it to. Yep, and that is why you don't sit near spawn in a Lorraine. Go ahead and grab a plane. Let's actually go ahead and... Oh god, I hate this selection menu. Let's go ahead and use bombs. A little bit more reliable to get kills with. Gosh, I hate this thing's radar. Stop spazzing out. Shut it right off. Now, something to take note of is you don't actually need to use a CAS or an attacker aircraft to make this a viable strategy to use. Like, you can see this MiG-9 here. He's using a fighter, and that is actually something that I will do sometimes, especially at BRs where planes are very prevalent. I'll use something like the 162 or another decent interceptor that I enjoy playing, and that can be a very, very good way to offset cost. Goodness, I don't know why I was getting some stuttering there. I missed the T tank as well, but I did get the M103. He's the more dangerous of those two. Let's see if we can get our buddy in the aircraft. What is he? That's looking like... Is it a Mustang? No. That is a Spitfire. Just a hit. Man, I'm getting some weird stuttering today. Could just be my connection, maybe. No, it's not an Italian Spitfire. Oh dear. Goodbye to your wingtip, my boy. Oh no, he knocked out my ground radar. Whatever will I do? Or air radar. Yeah, ground radar. I'm an idiot. Oh no! Sad days. Oh, we got an F-80, so I'm pretty happy with that. Ah, an American Spitfire. Love this tank. I also love my blue camouflage because it reminds me of all the blue stock camos in World of Tanks, which I do like those for for France, not for French. I know that they're kind of ugly, but I don't know. I've always liked the blue. I'm a fan of the blue camouflages. That's why I wish that the Chinese had their weird-looking blue ones from their stat cards. I don't know how I doomed that guy. Oh, is it because he's in a BMP? I don't know. Maybe don't spawn as a BMP, lol. Loader? Do we risk it? I think we risk it. He has a damage breach. Oh, yeah. I did not think I was going to get away with that. I thought I could go over that ridge line there. I was further to the side than I should have been. But this is good. Adding in these deaths makes this a much more realistic scenario for an average player, rather than someone who doesn't really have to concern themselves with repair cost as much. I think what I'm going to try to do is head over to where this guy is, because that seems like a better overwatch position than where I was. Especially for something like this, which doesn't have as much gun depression or armor. Although we do have an autoloader, so it'll make it a little bit easier to clean house, so to speak. Guess I should also include that going for kill assists can also help you. Like if you just try to strafe ground targets in a plane, things like that. Anything you can do to get yourself a little bit more SL for less work is, or for not very much work, is very good to do. How did I not spot that guy? Is he dead? Oh, he is not dead. Oh. Although he is now that he bounced off of me. How'd you manage that, my guy? I'm a light tank. I'm an AMX-13. The most armor I have is in my dreams. Alright, we got any other Targets to acquire? I do not see anything. I think we might have this one in the bag. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that winning battles does increase the amount that you make. I think losing has a penalty. I'm not entirely certain. I know it's like that in terms of RP, I think, but I'm not sure if it affects SL. Do leave that in the comments if you know for a fact if it's one way or the other. Because now, I'm not obviously not going to say, well, just win more games and you'll make more money. I'm not arrogant. But, if you can manage to play at a BR where one side is more likely to win, it could help increase the amount of money that you're making. Like playing at BRs where one nation is quite strong. 6-7 Axis being a good example. Hello. I thought you... Yeah, you had to have still been alive, because I didn't get a kill assist for you. All of the SL is mine. Oh no. Is that a NATO? Huh, I thought the thing got hull broken. Apparently not. Well, at least there's some solace for that piece of garbage. Oh, hello there, Twitchy M103. Crusader in front. Oh. Why would you even call out a Crusader, my guy? Are you actually worried he's gonna kill you? Come back, friend. Ooh. Okay, we're good. Man, I'm like concerning myself that I'm gonna drain out my ammo, but I forget that the AMX-13 has like the best autoloader in the game because it has all 12 of those shots. Yeah, no way I was gonna beat that Vickers coming around the corner like that. Now, I could use a backup right now to spawn in the Lorraine, and that would eliminate the repair costs like I was saying. This is a perfect example of when you would use it. Your team is pushing. There's very little chance the enemy's going to come back from this. Now would be the perfect time to spawn as that Lorraine, but because I want the repair cost to remain how it would be without using that, I'm not going to use it for this. But if you were to be in this situation yourself, I would recommend maybe use that, save yourself a little bit of money. Now, this game is probably going to be over before I can even do anything, but we'll at least spawn as the AML. I love my little Pan-Chan. We'll just drive around and hope that the game doesn't get thrown by our team. I've lost more promising looking games than this because of very, very intelligent teams. Whoop. I say that as I flip. Ah, we good. We good. Pan-Chan does not flip. Alright, and welcome back to the hangar. So, we made 93,000 from that game. Now, granted, take into account the fact that I do have a premium account. I was tempted to make this video and ask a Gaijin if I could maybe get access to a Lorraine on a separate account, but I figured you guys are intelligent enough to be able to know that obviously this is, I think, doubled from what you would normally earn. Is it doubled? Yes. Well, not quite. It's, yeah, plus 50% for active actions, 100%, 50%. So basically 50% more for kills, 100% more for battle time, and then that's just for other modes. But obviously, this is increased from what I would earn if I wasn't using a premium account. But I am pretty much 100% sure that even without a premium account, that would have been at least a little bit of a profit. As you can see, we made 46,000. That's a pretty nice that's a pretty nice result from that game, and I have absolutely no complaints with that. Now, again, if we were to take the Lorraine and use our backup at the end there, that would have basically eliminated it from being in the repair costs, so that would have upped us to around like 70,000, I think, at that point. So you're looking at probably about a 30 to 40,000 Silver Lion game if you aren't using a premium account. Obviously, that's just in my head, but I think that's a pretty safe estimate. I very, very, very much hope that this did help some of you. I plan to make more of these guides in the future to help newcomers and people who've been playing the game for maybe as long as I have, to just try to get all of us as a community to just be a little bit better at the game. Now, granted, I don't think I'm the best player out there, but I definitely have some experience that is useful to all of you, because everybody has different experiences and we learn from each other's experiences. So if you would like to see a specific guide on something, or you would like to just see those tutorials in general, let me know down below, and be sure to subscribe and like the video so that I know that you guys want to see more of those, and you'll be notified when I do make them. But I do hope that this video was helpful to you, and even if you decide not to subscribe at this time, I hope that you still can take some advice from this and just make a little bit more money in the long run.